Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. In my previous video, I reviewed the colourful 3060 Ti and today we are going to compare it to the Asus TUF 3060 Ti and see how much better it is compared to the colourful. Now the reason I upgraded to this GPU is because I wanted a GPU that has better noise performance. Basically I wanted something a bit more quieter. My previous colourful in terms of performance and of course the thermal is fine, but the noise is super annoying, so I upgraded to this one. Now this Asus TUF is a bit more expensive, retailing for around 3,900 ringgit Malaysia or 900 US dollars. Now let's take a closer look and have a spin around both of these GPU. In terms of size, it's almost the same length and thickness. Both is actually a 2.7 slot card. The difference between these two GPU actually lies in the width of the GPU, with the colourful going for 130mm while the Asus TUF has a much wider track at 143mm. So if you're using a smaller case like an SFF case, make sure you take note because with this GPU it's actually very wide, so in certain cases you cannot put the side panel on because of the width of the GPU. In terms of build quality, as far as the back, both has a metal black backplate, which I actually very much prefer compared to any plastic backplate because it actually helps in the rigidity and gives some thermal performance benefit. In terms of the front, this is where you can feel the premiumness of the Asus TUF. The shroud itself is actually made of metal. I've seen higher tier cards like the colourful Vulcan or the Phantom Gaming for SVOG. Even this more expensive GPU cannot match the TUF build quality because it doesn't have a metal shroud. Now when you go back to the colourful, it's just another typical plastic shroud. It's not bad, it does its job well. However, when you pick up the card, you can definitely feel the difference between the build quality of the two GPUs. This GPU also has 4 copper heat pipe compared to the 3 of the colourful, which might or might not help with the heat dissipation. But the main party trick of the Asus TUF is not the copper heat pipe or the heatsink or even the shroud. No, the main secret for the Asus TUF is actually the axial tech fans of the Asus series. Now I don't know what Asus did to this fan, but it is super quiet, especially compared to other fans like from Zotac or Colourful or S-Rock. It can spin at high RPM but doesn't make much noise. Now in terms of power delivery, it's a bit more basic. Asus decided to just go with a single 8-pin power supply instead of going for a dual 8-pin or a 8-pin plus 6-pin, which is a bit more disappointing because you're right at the edge of the power limit of the GPU. But as we can see later, at least this card has a 108% power limit compared to the colourful, which you cannot increase the power limit at all. The advantage that this GPU that other GPU doesn't have is it actually has an extra HDMI 2.0 slot, so you have actually 5 display outputs instead of the usual 4, so it might be an advantage to some people. There's also a bit of RGB at the tip of the GPU. It's very subtle and very small, but actually it's quite bright and well diffused. Now, like I said previously, there are 3 main reasons why I'm going with this GPU, upgrading from my current colourful 3060 Ti. Now, the 3 main reasons are, number 1 is actually I'm in love with the sleek design. It matches especially my current case, which is the Fantex Evolve case. Especially mine is now in gunmetal, so there's a bit of gunmetal grey also on the Asus card. So I really like the design, and that's the number 1 reason. Now the second reason is the excellent build quality, which I already elaborated regarding the metal shroud previously. Now the third and the most important reason why I chose this GPU instead of any other premium 3060 Ti is because of the good noise performance, which we will compare with my previous colourful 3060 Ti right now. Now in terms of thermal performance, compared to the colourful, it's actually very similar. I'm surprised because it doesn't actually do, I mean the heatsink is actually bigger, so I was expecting the temperature would be lower, but instead, even with the default fan curve, the temperature is, with an open case mind you, the temperature is still similar to the colourful, going at 66 degrees Celsius at 66% fan speed. However, keep in mind, like I said previously, like we can hear previously, the fan is actually less louder. Also, you can see you can increase the power limit to 108. So now we're going to talk a bit about overclocking the GPU. Now in terms of overclocking, I guess I kind of lucked out in the silicon lottery. Number one, in terms of the silicon, mine I think is not the best. I didn't got the best GPU as far as overclocking is concerned. And number two, I also lucked out in the memory because I only got the Hynix memory instead of the Samsung memory. So that's a bit of a shame. In stock form, I was able to get a 9277 score at 4K benchmark for Unigen superposition. The best and most stable overclock I was able to get was I added 140 MHz on the core and 1000 MHz on the memory, and I managed to get around 10, if I'm not mistaken, 10222K results. So that's actually an around 8% improvement compared to the stock. Actually, I tried to push the clocks further. I tried to add up to 170 MHz and it could pass the benchmark. And I could run games like Valorant or Warzone. However, I noticed a lot of stability issue, especially when I'm using my video editing software. So I don't really consider that stable, so I'm just sticking with my previous score. So the max I could get with this GPU was 140 MHz at the core and 1000 at the memory. So is the Asus 3060 Ti TUF edition worth it? Now, if you're someone who spends a lot of money, like spend hundreds of ringgit in Malaysia on buying Noctua fans, I think you would appreciate the acoustic benefit that this GPU brings. Like I said before, I've used other GPUs from Colorful, like Colorful Vulcan and even ASRock Phantom Gaming D. However, there's something about other fans that I noticed, especially from brands from China. You can make a beefy cooler, however, the fans perform very poorly. As soon as they get around 70% and above, it makes a loud racket. It is super uncomfortable. So that is something that I think that Asus has done very well in terms of optimizing the fans acoustics. However, if you're someone who chases pure performance, I would say that for around 2,900 ringgit Malaysia or 900 USD, you should probably be better off getting something like an entry level 3070. Maybe something like a Zotac 3070 Twin Edge, or maybe something like a Colorful 3070. You can probably get that at the same price as the Asus TUF 3060 Ti, and it will come better performing in stock form. Sure, you can overclock the 3060 Ti to similar levels to the stock 3070. However, I would say that's not my priority. Personally, I'd rather have a silent gaming experience compared to the extra 5 or 8 whatever FPS that I'm getting comparing the 3060 Ti and 3070. Anyway guys, like always, thanks for watching my video. I always appreciate it. If you like to support me, you don't have to donate or anything. Just leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I'm really aiming to get 1000 subscribers. Otherwise, thanks so much for stopping by and see you guys next time. Ciao.